Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Sapta Nugraha from Arabic Language and Literature Department, Class E. I'm here. I want to explain to us about the last subject. The first subject is introduce, so question and preposition of parts. Okay, the first subject is introduce. As we know, introduce or the function of introduce, how our friend, audience, and other people can be know ourselves. So in introduce, there is three typical. Usually first typical, when a people he want introduce the self by the chit chat or greeting. So the second typical, when people he want introduce herself, he must by excuse me the first. So the last, when a people introduce ourselves, he must or by quickly. So the example from typical, the first typical, when a people or we must by chit chat or greeting. The example is how are you? We must asking where do you come from. So after that we must we ask the name or we first introduce ourselves. So the second, the example is excuse me, introduce myself, my name blah blah blah, and I was born blah blah blah, and other. So the last typical, the last is by quickly. This is using by YouTuber or yes, by YouTuber. The example, okay guys, introduce myself, my name blah 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 blah, and other. So the second subject is question. In the question, there is two typical. The first typical is question word and question yes or no. What is question word? Question word is the word that used to ask something, like place, people, reason, why, and so on. The example from question word, that is, what do you know about this lesson? What are you doing? Where is his house? Who is your name? And other. So the second typical about yes and no question. What is yes and no question? Is yes and no question is a type of question that only requests there are two definition, answer yes and no question. So we can using the question yes or no, we must change the sentence first, and we must know subject or main verb and auxiliary verb, like that. So the example from auxiliary verb is she working very hard. So were they traveling together? So between auxiliary verb, the example is the weather nice in Oxinavia in the autumn? So was she angry when you told her about the incident? So the last subject about preposition of parts. What the preposition of parts? Preposition of parts is a combination of two or more words that provide information about a place, time, or conditional. So, so the example is I will sleep all day long at home. At home. So I got it from my mom. Okay, I think that's from me. I am closing. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.